You're listening to the Jaybird Watching Podcast, the official podcast of jaysjournal.com and fansite.com. We are the official ballroom chat for everything Toronto Blue Jays baseball, from game highlights to rumors and all the stuff in between. Here's your host, Craig Borden, with co-host Jason Lyons and Liz McGuire. Now let's talk some Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jaybird Watching Podcast, episode 476 here, as we are going to all vent on all things Jeff Hoffman and all sorts of other fun things. As you noticed probably already, the whole few of you that have already joined the chat, there is just me so far. I promise you that is not going to stay the same. You won't have to just enjoy me, but we do have a wonderful interview that we had with Pat Malacaro as the team here at the Jaybird Watching Podcast today. It was this afternoon. The voice of the Buffalo Bisons, Pat Malacaro, is going to be playing here just in a very few short moments here, the interview we had with him this afternoon, because he is in Indianapolis with the Buffalo Bisons as he is enjoying Trey Yesavage on the mound today. So we're going to make sure we get that interview going here in just a moment. But hang out, watch the interview, get those questions in the comments, because we are going to be live as soon as this interview wraps up at exactly 7:30. So once this interview wraps up, me and Jason are going to be here to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays baseball with you, in addition to any Buffalo Bisons and Herd talk he would like to get in on 2 cents. So make sure you join, and we will be right back. But here is the wonderful interview that we had this afternoon as a team with the illustrious Pat Malacaro of the Buffalo Bisons. Check that out right here. All right, joining us here on Jaybird Watching, we got our friend Pat Malacaro, the voice, and I'll just say the head of communications and everything, it seems like, every time we talk. Pat, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing great. We're in Indianapolis this week for what is the longest last road trip of the year, and it was a fun night, the first day of the series Tuesday, and interesting week with some of the prospects and getting towards the end of August here. It's a fun week in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and you got one of our favorite prospects on the mound tonight. How much fun has it been to see? You've only seen the one outing from him so far at this point with Trey Yesavage, correct?
Yeah, he's thrown twice for us now. A doubleheader on last week. Really got the nerves out in that first start, where he admitted at every level he's pitched at. And you got to remember, even I have to remember, he didn't pitch after getting drafted 20th overall last year. So he's still figuring everything out for the first time this season. But at every level, at all 4 levels, that first appearance was a little shaky, but he got through it. And that first outing, that first inning was tough. He figured his way through it, just threw too many pitches, 57, I think it was, in an inning and 2/3. The last time out was very good. The breaking stuff was working well. Maybe it was overthrowing the breaking ball in that first appearance because of the nerves. That wasn't the case last time. And he did it against a really tough team in Scranton Wilkes-Barre, who is currently the top team in the league. And for anybody that follows the International League or has followed it in the past, they always have those veteran, you call them 4A guys if you want, but really they stockpile a lot of veteran talent in Scranton for the Yankees if there's an injury in the big leagues. And I think it's a really good test for Yesavage, and against Indianapolis, the affiliate of the Pirates here in AAA, it'll be another good test tonight.
Yeah, hell of a talented system there with the Pirates as well. It seems like they've been it's starting to butt up at the major league level and finally show off a little bit. So you're definitely seeing all the best of that. Just like you guys have had the pleasure of seeing all of our prospects over the last few years in the Blue Jays uniforms and whatnot. Who are some of the guys that you've seen come through? Because you've been with the Bisons for about 15 years, correct?
Yeah, predating even the affiliation with the Blue Jays that started in 2013, which has been so much fun since that came to be just over a decade ago. But there's so many great players that have come through Buffalo. And for folks that don't know, I grew up in Buffalo, so I went to games as a kid in the old bleachers that is now the party deck in right field. Basically since the ballpark opened in '88, that's how old I am, as I've been going to games since then. So it's so much fun, and really that's what 2 weeks ago felt like the old days of Bison baseball, where in the late '90s, early 2000s, partnered with Cleveland, it felt like there was prospect after prospect, rehab start after rehab appearance, and we saw that between, I guess it was last week, between Alek Manoah pitching, Shane Bieber, George Springer was on his rehab assignment. Even before that, when the Bisons were in Worcester, Andres Jimenez was around and Springer was around the team and Bieber started there. So that's kind of the feeling we got over the last month or so. Even go back to Max Scherzer, multi-time Cy Young winner.
Wild.
Right. This year has been more than any other, especially in the Blue Jay affiliation, that we've seen not only the players like a guy like Addison Barger, or even now in small sample size, Joey Loperfido this year go up and perform at the big league level. We've seen a lot of the rehab assignments that have really helped the Blue Jays, get those players healthy and get them back to help winning baseball.
Good deal. So you got a question?
Yeah, my question is that like, what is the vibe? I know maybe you do know the vibe, but what is the vibe when you do have these, like, it's kind of like bigger, fancier players pop like Mary Poppinsing in, right? Like, what is that like vibe? Like, is it? I mean, I don't know if it's good for the team or bad for the team dynamics. Also, like, do you see your attendance spike if it's like Max Scherzer night? Like,
yeah, and to answer the second part of your question, it all goes to how far out that somebody's going to be with the team. And in Scherzer's case, we were able to announce it a day or two ahead of time, and we certainly did. In Shane Bieber's case, with it being 2 starts at home and all the buzz that was around it post trade deadline, every fan knew that Shane Bieber was going to be on a rehab assignment, so it was going to be with Buffalo. The one downside I'll say is, we have noticed that the attendance from our friends across the border has been slightly down. So that's one thing I hope the fans have been able to come back over across the border and see guys like Bieber and Manoah and Springer in the way that we like to have them come over. Because to be perfectly honest, about almost a quarter of our fan base comes from Southern Ontario, and that's such a fun partnership that it makes so much sense to be partnered with the Blue Jays in 2013 because it's only an hour and a half, give or take, to Rogers Center from Buffalo, and between hockey, everything. Like, I'm from Buffalo, and going across the border is such a part of the way of life. So to have Canadian fans now coming back the other way, it was such a fun part of the partnership, and hopefully that continues to grow back, and really something that has been building back since, let's be honest, since 2020, since the border was shut down for over a year. It's been something that's building back up. So hopefully a lot of fans came down and enjoyed those rehab assignments, and it's a lot cheaper and less expensive than it might be up in Toronto. Like, just to be perfectly. Yeah,
I went down on a road trip with my buddies like 5-6 years ago, and we randomly caught Lourdes Gurriel, I think Junior's rehab assignment. I think it was his rehab assignment, I think, and maybe Teo, I think, because he was going to do it at one point. And like, we were right on the grass, and we were right behind home plate. And I will say this, man, you know what Toronto doesn't have? That Thalen, it's still called Thalen Field?
Yes.
They have fried bologna. That's good.
Yeah. It's funny because that is something.
Beef on WEC.
That is something that people will bring up all the time. It's a Western New York thing, and people love the fried bologna. So I'm glad you enjoyed your experience.
Yeah, loved it.
And you talk about what the vibe around the team is when you have a rehab assignment for a player down in rehab. I think it's just a lot of picking that player's brain. And I think for Shane Bieber, someone's coming back from Tommy John surgery, a lot of the young guys, they maybe haven't gone through the experience of missing over a year with an injury. And not only just the physical aspect of, how do you build back up, but how do you mentally come back from an issue where you're down for about a year from an injury, and what are the things you learn? And I think that's all part of the equation. George Springer was around the team for basically a week and a half between Worcester and then his time in Buffalo. So every day, the team, whether it be the pitchers or the position players, have a meeting, and they'll go over the last game or go over certain things they want to discuss as a group. And I think it's one of the things that Casey Candell does very well as manager of the team, is has those meetings and is able to really convey a lot of the thoughts that he needs to. But when you have someone like George Springer that can also add context to it, or last year it wasn't a rehab assignment, Joey Votto, who I think is a Hall of Famer, in your dugout saying, yeah, I went through that and here's how I dealt with it. And in the clubhouse, guys were able to talk to him about certain aspects of his big league career with Cincinnati. That's such an invaluable experience that guys get, and players understand that you're not going to always get that, and you may not get an opportunity to ask that question again. So you might as well do it while you have them here.
Yeah, and in the instance with Joey Votto, you better catch him before he hits the parking lot and retires.
Oh man, what a hero! Love it, man. Love that man.
That was such a Joey Vottoism. I was like, that's perfect. So, Jason, welcome to the party, buddy.
Hey guys, sorry, I've taken on the extra task of helping out with my kids, being on the board for my kids' minor hockey, and I never quite realized what it was like. I've been on the board for baseball, and I've never quite realized what an absolute show the hockey is before it gets started. So I've been trying to deal with a lot of issues this morning, but I wasn't going to miss this, Pat. I was excited about it, and it's interesting to hear you talk about that because I'm in Vancouver, and one of the things that's obviously been discussed quite a bit was the massive amount of Canadian numbers down to go to the Mariners this year, and it's at a level now where even the Seahawks have been sending out, like, I've been getting emails. I'm not a Seahawks fan. I'm a 49ers fan, but they've almost tapped into like the NFL network to be like, we need people coming down here. How do we change this? Like, do you guys see still a decent amount of Canadian fans making it across the border, or is it just, is this going to be the norm for the next 3-ish years? And then,
yeah, I think that it definitely. I think it goes back to the border being shut down from 20 to 21 into 22, and building up that relationship again, because you kind of have to re-educate, and I mean that in a positive way. If you don't do something for a year and a half, even in Buffalo, if you're a Bisons fan and you hadn't been to a game in nearly 2 years because the team after it came back in 21 was in Trenton for most of that year. It's almost out of sight, out of mind for a little bit. So I think it's kind of that re-education, rebuilding that relationship that has really started to happen since 22. So it's not something new to this year, to be perfectly honest. It's something as an organization you work towards and try and build it back up, and understanding that situations are going to change. And what works today might not work tomorrow, will work in 2018 and 2019, might not work in 2025 and 2026. So one example, the Canadian at Par program, which we generally would have only for like the first month or so of the season, it's been all year long. And we know the dollar on the American side is in the American side's favor. So even more so than before, which that's always a factor as well. So it's not just one aspect of anything. It's multiple different scenarios that play out. So increasing the Canadian at Par to 30%, that's such a big part of it, and being all year long now. So it's trying to find different ways to let fans know that, hey, we're here. We want you to come down. We're a welcoming place to come see a game, and we hope you'll make that experience part of your summer or fall or early spring, and all 6 months that Bison baseball is played.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the relationship with the team thing. That's the relationship that with another favorite team of yours that I've had. That's the Sabres. That's the reason I have a TV relationship with my Buffalo Sabres, even only being an hour away instead of being there at the arena all the time. So on that note, you guys have some wonderful people that we've actually talked to on this show in your marketing office and your media and all that kind of stuff that work with you. You have had some really fun promotions this year. Is there some that stand out amongst the rest that have been fun things that you've enjoyed to see at the ballpark to try getting some more people in the stands?
Yeah, my favorite one, selfishly, because I had a hand in helping kind of bring it to life, was the reverse retro program that we put together for this year with the sleeveless jersey.
Dalton Varsho looked so hunky in that jersey. Like, let's go. Thank you.
The sleeveless look is just so good.
So good.
Yeah, and it's something that the team in '98 rebranded to this like futuristic look. Everyone wanted to have these sleeveless jerseys going into the new millennium. Again, as a kid growing up as a Bison fan, I was like, what the heck is this? You're going from the classic midnight blue, red and white color scheme of the swinging buster to the sliding buster across a jersey. And I wasn't too sold on it, but it's kind of like, Craig, you'll know the goat head. Like it's something that at the time when you move from the odd to the arena, fans weren't they weren't liking the fact that you went from the classic logo to the goat head. But as it's gone on, and we're now like almost 30 years removed from it, you have an appreciation for it. So taking that sliding buster and making it the current colors was fun. And then the other thing, we just had our first Harry Potter night at Salem Field last Saturday. And even though I'm a novice in knowing all the ins and outs of Harry Potter storylines and movies and characters and everything, it was a fun night. And I know our folks that run promotions and social media were really heavily involved in planning it out. And just some of the feedback of, it wasn't just wear a jersey, give away a scarf, and call it a night. Some of the aspects that were added to it within the game of promotions and questions and stuff like that were a nice addition. So we've had a lot of fun stuff. And that's always such a part of minor league baseball, right? Is you go to the game, you want to see the prospects. hopefully the Bisons win, but it's a lot about that experience. And you go back to the conversation about, the experience of Canadian fans coming down. That's always something we try and really, build on, is how do we get fans to come down once and then keep coming back after that?
Yep. Jason, Liz, I'll let you guys ask.
Yeah, I will say this. I've always been so jealous. I talk about this a lot, of Craig and being in the States, because I don't really, there's no minor league baseball. In the States, there's baseball everywhere. And it makes it more for everybody. Like, baseball is for everybody, right? Because you don't just have, like, I've got the Jays. I pay a lot of money. I go to those games. The food is expensive. But these minor league games are so special. And I've been to a few. They were the Vermont Expos when I went. Now there's Vermont Lake Monsters games. I've been to some Buffalo games. And, like, it's just such a special environment. And I'm really enjoying the, like, cheesy, and they play it up. Like, I'm enjoying the cheesy jerseys that they've been doing in the minor leagues. And I just love watching the blue cheese and the celery and all the like, it's anyway. So I will say that, like, I think minor league ball is so special, even beyond the prospects. The vibe, the atmosphere, it's so special.
You're right. And I think, as somebody who, in my first 3 years broadcasting, we're in Batavia for the old short season New York Penn League team. They're just about halfway between Buffalo and Rochester. Craig and nodding, and you know the team well.
At a time. Bleacher creature.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really miss about, the coming out of COVID and the elimination of 42 teams and the short season level of baseball between, Vermont, a team was in the league, Auburn, New York, which is about an hour from Batavia, Jamestown is out of the league. There's so many little communities that I enjoyed going to and seeing baseball, and not just because, you have big promotions and stuff like that, but because at the lowest levels of minor league baseball, it's such a grassroots operation. And maybe you're getting some of that maybe in here in the States of the collegiate leagues now, where most of those cities have teams, and that's such a lost aspect of the realignment of minor league baseball. And I can remember when the Penn League had St. Catharines and other teams on the other side of the border, or the Ottawa Lynx were in the International League for many years. I never got a chance to go to Ottawa to work a game, because they were in Lehigh Valley by that time, but it really was an international league. And now, it's sadly only one Canadian team left in all of minor league baseball on the other coast, where Jason is. But, hopefully that will be there for many years to come.
Yeah.
I'm going to put
Bailey. I don't think that's changing anytime soon.
I'm going to put a call out to our listeners. I've been looking for an Ottawa Lynx hat, because Ottawa's like my hometown. The one with the Lynx on it in silver. Somebody send me one. I'll pay you money. Thank you.
Yeah, Pat, it's interesting you would say that. I mean, the baseball in Vancouver, baseball in Canada right now is actually exploding. I coach my kids for U15 AAA, and we're seeing some of the highest numbers we've ever seen across the country. We're seeing more, national champions move on from Canada and actually go and win internationally and all this other stuff. And I find it interesting with 3/4 of the country is covered in snow for the most part of the year. But, one of the things that we have really, 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 expanded on is the Vancouver Canadians. And they now have added another 2,000 seats with the new expansion that they're doing. The rumor is it's another 4,000 seats on the other side. And now they're talking about redoing the entirety of the home run area, because Nat Bailey is a very tough stadium to hit home runs out of. It's a big barn with big walls. When you see kids coming up through the system, passing through Vancouver and up into Buffalo, what are the comments that we've had Nick Goodwin and a few other guys on, and they're just like that 4,000 people sounds like 20,000 because it echoes off the walls.
Probably a friend of Pat's, Tyler Zickel's been on the show a few times too. I've known him since he was in New Hampshire as the Zick.
Yeah, and that's a common. We hear that from every player that comes up, is that, look, whether it's in Vancouver, there's a great support for baseball, and Tyler does a great job of promoting the game out in Vancouver, and did that in New Hampshire first. But guys all talk about how much fun they had. It helps when you win also, but the ability to just play in front of a packed crowd every night, because that's not something you necessarily get everywhere in that league. So I think that is such a big part of it. It allows the team to really, feed off of that energy. Guys talk about it from time to time. You feed off the crowd. You feed off when you've got a good atmosphere at the ballpark. So you've got that night after night. It's a long season. especially maybe for some players, it's their first time. Now I know it's the advanced A level of baseball now, but maybe it's only your first or second year in pro ball, and you're playing a 6-month season for the first time. To have a full house every night makes you feel that much more comfortable when you get to late July, early August, those dog days of summer, and you're fighting for a championship in the Northwest League.
I will say this, one guy who's as seriously benefited from that is Eddie Micheletti. He is an absolute crowd favorite here. I was at the first game that he played, and he was coming up in the 8th inning, I believe it was. And I was looking up some of his stats, and he hadn't had great stats coming into the year. And I think he was kind of struggling with what his baseball career was going to be. And he hit a 3-run homer, like to the deepest part of the field. And people were chanting Eddie before he even did it. And it was, you could see his face. It was like he'd never been cheered for before in his whole, he was rounding second base and the whole crowd was chanting Eddie. It was one of the best, still, I've seen some good guys roll through here and some fun stuff happen. That was definitely the most fun. And I would think that Eddie would probably attest to that being a pretty amazing part of his season.
So, Pat, knowing you from a few previous Buffalo Bisons when you guys used to do the state of the franchise thing in the winter and everything like that, and had players join you, and I've had a few conversations in the past and whatnot. You're a little bit of a baseball historian growing up in Buffalo, too, so you know some of these wonderful things that have happened at the old stadium and things like that. I would love to hear some of the stuff about with the natural and stuff like that and everything like that in town. This is something I know that most baseball fans, let alone Blue Jays fans, probably have heard.
Yeah, and actually we had we call it Vintage Movie Night this year. We're able to celebrate the Natural, which passed its 40th anniversary last year. My broadcast partner Duke McGuire was a big part of helping that movie come to fruition. The videographers and the folks that were planning out the movie were looking for the specific type of look of a stadium, and War Memorial, it was nicknamed the Rock Pile. Really was one of the last of its generation to still be around. A ballpark built around I think the 30s, as a World War I WPA project. And the Bills had moved out of there by the mid 70s. It was just a baseball stadium now, but it fit the bill. And Robert Redford, Roy Hobbs, is a left-handed batter. Duke McGuire was a left-handed batter himself. He was drafted several times, including by the Tigers, where he played professionally in the minor leagues for their organization. And he took batting practice for the people that were charged with finding a location for the movie. And because he just kept hitting home run after home run after home run, and it just looked really cool in the old ballpark, that was one of the reasons why they settled on Buffalo. There were a lot of reasons, a lot of the old architecture that was built in the early 1900s as well. But for Duke to be a part of that, and Kevin Lester, who is still our official scorer, they're best friends. Robert Redford didn't like the bat that he was given. It was a regular Louisville Slugger bat, I believe, but it was modified to look like the era, but he didn't like the feel of it. Kevin Lester had a bat that he used. He gave it to Robert Redford. He liked it. So what did Kevin Lester have to do? He had to take it to the shop because he was an athletic director at a high school in Buffalo, and he sanded it down so that it got rid of all the markings, and they put the Wonder Boy logo on the bat. And then he, because Robert Redford liked it, there were like 5 or 6 more of them. So the original, the one used in the seminal moment in the movie at the end, is in Cooperstown. But Kevin Lester still has a couple of those bats lying around, and he's showing them from time to time and taking them out, whether TV or local groups to show it off. So there's a lot of local history. And not just the Rock Pile, but there's another smaller stadium that was used as the site for Wrigley Field that they converted into Wrigley Field. So even myself, I love to just see where some of the locations were and how they were modified for the movie to kind of show off Buffalo in that respect.
Yeah. As a bleacher creature at the old Silver Stadium here in Rochester, too, I totally get you. Member of the Knothole gang. So it is what it is. But Jason, Liz, either of you have any more questions?
Yeah, Pat, I don't see a ton. I don't see a ton of the Buffalo stuff. I just see the news that we get, obviously time zones and all the rest of that fun stuff. But I did have one question. In your entire broadcasting career up to this point, what's the most bizarre thing you've called?
Oh, I mean, we had a squirrel on the field in Columbus.
I remember that. That's a super good one.
Yeah, I mean, it caused a long delay, and I found out after the fact had a couple of the guys like ground crew, like one had to get rabies shot because he tried picking it up. Like, these things that you don't know in the moment, and all of a sudden, boom, so I think that's the weirdest thing we've had drone delays. That's a new one, actually in Rochester a year or two ago. Drones can't fly like right at the stadium. It's they're just it's a no-go zone, whatever you want to call it. And we actually had a couple of minute delay late in the game in Rochester a couple of years ago. So those are the first two that kind of come to mind.
Yeah, I remember reading about that one.
Yeah. Okay. My question for you is, what's your favorite thing you've called or seen? Like, what's a moment where you're like, that was magic, time slowed down?
So the two things I wanted to call as a baseball broadcaster were a no-hitter and a championship. I was lucky enough to call a championship in my first year in Batavia in 2008 and I called the championship out. So I checked one off the list right away. And then in August of 2019, TJ Zoik threw a no-hitter for Buffalo. Just the second one for our franchise Modern Era, which is from 1985 to now. It was really cool. And Zoik, it was funny. TJ Zoik started that game and went the complete game, no-hitter for the Bisons. The next day was Anthony Kay. He shut out Rochester over like 7 innings. And then it was Nate Pearson's debut like 2 days later. So like bang, bang, bang. There were 3 really fun starts where neither starter gave up runs and things I remember. But those were the two things that, as a baseball broadcaster, I was hoping to call at some point before this was all said and done. And luckily I was able to check those both off the list.
Awesome.
TJ Zoik was a hell of a Bison when he played. It was one of those players I was like, it's going to click. And he unfortunately fizzled out. So
yeah, former first-round pick that just had a lot of good stuff for that year. And he'd thrown something close to a 7-inning no-hitter to start before it, if I remember. And just unfortunate that he wasn't able to sustain the success. But something I'll always remember is a broadcaster for the team.
Yeah. We always used to have Anthony Kay and his brother were always on the show way back when too, when he was with the Bison. So it was like time with brothers K on the show, on the Jaybird watching. So on that note, Liz, Jason, are there any other questions the two of you would like to ask before we give Pat his typical everyday shameless self-promoting plug?
Shameless self-promoting. Yeah, the only other thing I would say, would want to ask, and again, it's a little bit selfish and it's a little bit just not knowing. Who would you say is the dark horse on the Bisons right now? Like a guy that we just don't, like if you're not in the know, you don't know, and is having just a great year, pitcher, hitter, whatever, fielder, player, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah, the position player side of things, Josh Rivera was acquired in the Nate Pearson deal last year from the Cubs and really came up to Buffalo in late April because the Bisons didn't have a true shortstop. And I don't know if he was supposed to be here all year long, but Josh Rivera has been an everyday shortstop for the Bisons. He's really good defensively. The offense has kind of tailed off a little bit for him. He's hitting around 220 right now, but in the end, first year at AAA, I'm looking to see what the offense looks like next year. But I think that's somebody, he's not going to be in the top 30 prospect rankings, at least not this year. Maybe going into next year, he'll find a spot in that. But I think if there's somebody you want to maybe look towards, such a good defender, now with Josh Yesavage back, playing a little third, maybe a little second, he gives you that versatility, still very young, and somebody that maybe wasn't a prospect going into after being acquired from the Cubs, but maybe working himself into that conversation.
Good deal. Liz?
Yeah, maybe you don't answer this, but I guess who surprised you the most? In their either in their ascension to the majors or in their descension from the majors.
Yeah, I think you look at all the guys that have contributed to the Blue Jays' success this year. Did I think Edison Barger had the ability to do that for Toronto? Sure, but just actually going and doing it and hitting big home runs for the team or having some big offensive performances. That's always, it's there when you're a top prospect, but to see them actually do it and to have so many players, I know this might sound like a cop-out, so sorry, but so many guys have made such a big impact. Braden Fisher, signed back as a free agent this past offseason. Did I think he could pitch well in the Blue Jay bullpen? Sure, but until you actually go do it, you never know if it's going to happen. So I think there's been a lot of good individual stories, guys like that, or Mason Hardy in his first year in the big leagues as a lefty reliever. They've just gone and contributed. And I think that's, in the end, when the Bisons, the record wins and losses aren't there, you look to those players that are contributing. And it's hard to argue that this hasn't been, maybe putting the wins and losses aside, this might be the most successful year in terms of development for the Blue Jays that we've seen in this affiliation.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a year for all the back and forth that we've been getting with Buffalo and the Toronto Blue Jays. And to your point, the guys that have rose to the top and become major contributors on this team have been very impressive. And we've been getting that in a really steady flow. So whatever you guys got going on in the water down there, please make sure you guys keep doing it and making sure they're having fun, Pat.
Yeah.
The only
Other
thing is,
everybody.
again, selfishly, the only other thing, because I've never heard it before, what's your home run call, Pat?
I don't have a signature one. I just,
Not what?
home run. Yeah. Nothing crazy. Yeah.
I do believe I'm on the record somewhere of saying the Buffalo boys can't win us a World Series, and I'm walking that back. I walk that back.
I'm hoping it's a long run in October, and as close as we are. I had so much fun going up to Rogers Center in 15 and 16 for those playoff runs, and hoping for some maybe more success than those 2 years even.
I hope so.
It's tipping that direction right now. So Pat, obviously, I hope everybody's figured out where you might be from, but the microphone's completely yours. Tell everybody where to find you and whatever you want to plug right now. It's your shameless self-promoting bit.
Yeah, you can find me on social media at PatWGR. So in my other life, I work for WGR, the radio station in Buffalo, working Sabres games. So Pat WGR for your social media content and put stuff there. Bisons at Buffalo Bisons is where a lot of our stuff goes to. So you'll always find whether it's I try and change up the picture every day for where we are in the road. So I have to find something good for Indianapolis today, and I'll in addition to having the lineup out there, I always have something fun. So that's where you can find it.
Good deal. Well, Pat, it was a pleasure having you. You're welcome back anytime. You got some few minutes. Obviously, the off season isn't terribly far away, but we need a playoff run first. But we'll get you back. And it's a pleasure talking to you as always.
Sounds great. Looking forward to our next chat. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Pat.
Everybody. So here we are, Jason. How the heck are you, buddy?
Well, I mean, I feel like that was a bit of a time machine. I don't know. There's a lot of questions in there, so I don't feel like did we tell everybody what we were doing there, or are we going to just keep the Wizards cloak? Let them see behind
just like usual. No, I did do a predecessory where I said, hey, we're here. We got a great interview with Pat Malacaro. We're going to air that completely first. So I'm not just having the world's quickest change of clothing and going from corporate Craig to baseball.
I'm in exactly the same. I'm literally in the exact same thing.
So it is fun. But to that point, what a wonderful chat we had this afternoon with Pat Malacaro. Obviously, he has the game that he's calling this evening in Indianapolis for the Buffalo Bisons. And but to that point, he is a wealth of knowledge. We didn't have him for quite long enough. We will be talking to him again because I actually asked about the MLB stuff for him outside of the Bisons, like you mentioned in the interview there with the Natural and everything being actually filmed in Buffalo. There's another piece to the stadium that I actually been goofing around with in the chat while we were watching our own interview, which was slightly odd, but that's besides the point. The Bisons ballpark was actually originally designed to be an MLB ballpark, so they would stack the next level onto it. So you'd basically all of a sudden have the 16,000 seat venue would all of a sudden become the, 32,000 seat venue or whatever it might be, because we had the Buffalo Sabres, we had the Buffalo Bisons. About the time the Toronto Blue Jays became a thing, that was about the same time the Bisons and everybody were trying to be a major league baseball team in Buffalo. So
right.
Cool, fun other tidbit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good interview. Love to have him back anytime. I mean, anytime we can talk sort of about the different levels of the Blue Jays, it always makes for some fun conversation. So it's great to have it. We'll take it. We'll take it any way we can get it. I've been throwing the lines out on Twitter or X. I get what I don't even know what we're supposed to call it anymore. But it's it's always great to have somebody on who has so much internal knowledge about something that maybe everyone doesn't know all that much about. And so to have the guys from the Canadians and have guys from Buffalo, it's always super fun.
Yeah. So now we are officially live for episode 476, Jason. So we're going to talk about all things baseball for the Toronto Blue Jays because it's been a very up and down last 24 hours. We are currently losing again. There is that.
Yeah, gave up a homer right in the.
Yeah. So, but to that point, Trey Yesavage is on the mound for our buddy Pat this evening. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But did you hear who was on the mound the evening before?
It was Manoah, wasn't it?
It was, and apparently he only beamed a couple of guys, and it sounded like a normal Alek Manoah outing in Buffalo the night before, and he's getting a front row seat to could be the revenge tour for Alek Manoah.
So. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for me, and we've kind of bandied it back and forth a little bit. I still feel like I haven't seen anything so far that says to me that Alek Manoah is ready to come back and and face major league hitting. I mean, that would be the catch. He's doing okay. He's certainly, like it's interesting to look at a guy like Shane Bieber and then look at a guy like Alek Manoah, and then we know a little bit about Manoah, but then I don't know if you've watched even the trailer for the documentary on Shane's coming back to the league.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
insane.
What you sent me.
I mean, awesome. The guy, it's insane. The guy is an absolute workhorse. He took advice from everybody he could take advice from. He did all of the things he needed to do. And I mean, he's back. He's back faster than, probably people expected, and equally as strong and ready to roll. So, I mean, I don't want to assume that Alek is a lazy player or whatever, but I mean, that's sort of been his MO the whole time, is that just buckets of talent and just doesn't have the jam to push the rock up the hill. So
yeah,
I mean, I guess we'll see. I know we kind of toyed with the idea of him coming back before the end of the year, but I don't really see that happening. I mean, he may be on the bench cheerleading when the Bisons are done. But that's about all I could see from him based on what I'm seeing in Buffalo. But
yeah. And as far as those kind of things go, that story leads into Michael Borland's question. The Alek Manoah story eventually being the rising star to quick thing. Is that something that you would fear for somebody in the shoes of like Trey Yesavage, who has been just blowing through the Blue Jays minor league system? He has literally touched this season every level the Blue Jays minor league system has to offer, Jason. Are you afraid of that because of that? Or you think he's just found a way to mature on each level? Because that's what I have seen.
I agree with you. I mean, I certainly do think there's a potential, and I mean, we see it ridiculously at the young kids levels right now. Certainly, the kids are much more protected in Canada than they are in the U.S. But we see kids just throwing their arms out, and so you worry about Trey, and you worry about the extra work, and you worry about travel, and extra days and pitching and all the rest of it. And I mean, I don't know that you could, I mean, it's obvious it does happen. I mean, guys blow their elbows out all the time and shoulders and the whole work. So, yeah. I mean, you just hope that he's doing the right things in between his starts. You hope that when he is traveling and when he is doing those things, he is making sure that he takes care of his body and eats right and does all the other stuff. Because, again, I don't want to, bring up Manoah, but I mean, Alek doesn't look like he, fights his way up to the salad bar. It's one of those things where he probably indulges a little bit too much in a bunch of different things. But I mean, who wouldn't really? I guess I'd be the fattest MLB player you ever saw. Who was that guy that they trucked out the other night? The Big Sugar. Did you see that? The guy that was pitching for the Phillies? No,
wasn't it the Athletics or something like that?
No, it's a red and white team. We were watching it last night, and he's like, I think he's 6'5", 275. His nickname is Big Sugar. It's whoever the Dodgers were playing. And he came in and faced like Ohtani and Betts and Freeman and get
literally for the Reds.
Yes.
Right-handed reliever.
Just the epitome of what an athlete looks like. But I mean,
David Wells guy. This sort of David Wells vibes.
He throws 99 to like 103. So I mean, he's got his thing.
Just to put it out there, he's not huge. He's thick.
No, but he's a big boy. I mean, geez Louise.
He's a big boy. It's got young David Wells
all over it. Young David Wells all over
Zach,
it. Yeah. It's hilarious.
What the hell's the name? Zach Maxwell. Because that's, of course, the guy you're going to have with that name, Maxwell.
Yeah.
Big sugar.
Yeah, so
still not the Iowa meat truck.
No. Meat truck. That's such a good one. But I mean, you got to take a guy like Yesavage, and you have to make sure. I mean, I feel like the MLB teams have been very careful about over pitching. I feel like they even side to the underside now, where guys are being pulled, under numbers to try and have arm maintenance. So I mean, I'm sure the Jays know what they're doing down there. And like you said, I mean, he's just throwing it past everybody. So it's, like you want to encourage that, and you want to also encourage the positivity and all the other things that come from that. So if he did happen to get a shot to come up, maybe he wields that confidence up and keeps it rolling.
Yeah. Just to say in the comments section, your cuz is all over the idea that how can Manoah not make a comeback?
I think it's a lot harder than that, Troy boy. I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, and if you watch, like I watch a fair amount of like YouTube and other stuff about baseball players, and there's lots of guys, in my 53 years of life that I've seen come, and you're like, where is that guy? And you're like, he was a stud, and he's gone. And
we talked about one of those with Pat today, DJ Zoink.
Zoink. Now, please tell me that when he pitched, that the Scooby-Doo theme song played.
No, that would be a good one.
Zoink, Scoob.
Scoob.
So it's I think Manoah, like he's a real interesting cat, because he's not the epitome of health. Anything that he's got to do to get back into sort of game shape, it's got to be an absolute fist fight for him. And I mean, people who battle with their weight, even if they're an athlete or a high level performer, it's a tough thing to do. And I mean, you see some guys, shred and bulk up, like Kyle Schwarber is one of those guys who's always been a little bit heavy. But I mean, the guy is in tip-top shape, and he keeps himself. Max Muncy, another one, tip-top shape, and it's incredible to me that these guys can perform the way that they do. And I think that Manoah, I think the All-Star stuff, all of that stuff, I think that was too early for him, and he has coasted on that ever since. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Marcus Stroman, where Stroman never ever thought that his shit stunk. And
speaking of the where are they now category,
he's on a private jet. I just saw a picture of it.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. It's Playing Gate 5.0 at this point. I still think that Liz had the best banner I've seen on Twitter in a long time for the Blue Jays, and the whole 1,000,001 things that we've missed out on and everything like that. The one banner that I literally saw pictures that she posted earlier today was the Blue Jays raising a banner for eating 89,000 hot dogs or something like that in the night.
Look at that home run. Look, you can see it. Just this isn't illegal because you can't see it directly, but somebody just hit a home run. I saw them putting the jacket on him.
So I'm waiting for the thing to load because it's taking forever with the stream going.
Michael can tell us. Oh, Schneider. Oh, nice.
Schneider.
Put him in the. You know what? I got to say something. I was watching him on Whit Merrifield's podcast. He has the worst mustache I've ever seen in my life. Like, it is the most PC. In fact, at some points, I think it might be fake. Like, there is one part of it over to the side here that hair doesn't grow that way, and then then the other part's sort of normal, and it's a bad stash, a really bad stash.
But it's an epic piece of lip lettuce. It's not quite like
it really is.
It's not quite like Travis Snyder's wonderful fake one that he discovered that was a Major League Baseball record on this show, by the way.
It is.
He's got a very Happy Gilmore record, Mr. Travis Snyder. He's the only guy that tried to take off his skate and stab somebody with it.
Yeah.
He's the only guy in Major League Baseball history that's hit a home run with a fake mustache.
It's true.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
So, but good stuff. So anyway, let's talk about the elephant in the room, my friend. We kind of lost a big lead last night, and it was not in very good fashion. It was very rough to watch. And I quote Liz, I knew something bad was going to happen when he couldn't get the first 2-3 pitches over the plate.
Yeah.
And it happened.
I think she's dead right. And the one thing that I don't see enough of, and an interesting aside to this is if you watch the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are accused of this all the time, is pulling pitchers before mistakes happen. And I don't know if they can just sense it. I don't know if when they're in the warming up in the bullpen, they're just not hitting their spots, and they've already started to warm them up. So like, well, you know what? We're going to give them a chance.
Yeah.
They give these guys as little as possible rope. And I feel like sometimes because the Jays don't have where the Dodgers have two guys they can go to as a closer, and lots of other teams do too, the Jays just don't really have that. They just don't really have two guys they can count on at all times to go in and get those outs. And when Hoffman struggles, he struggles. I mean, and the worst part about being the closer is when you do struggle, you eat it. Like, I mean, there's very little that you can do. Like, I mean, if you start and give up, like, let's say he started the game and gave those up, I mean, you got the whole game to make it up. And so it's a much different animal. I like Hoffman. I kind of trust him. I would be not opposed to, maybe some movement to try and see if you move him a little bit earlier, like into the 7th, like what is the difference at that point? And then maybe like Varland or somebody who throws hard can still come in and close the door. I saw a lot of people around the baseball world, Blue Jays world, just talking about, the couple of missing pieces the Jays have hurt that probably would make up the difference in the bullpen. But
yeah, our buddy Thomas Hall that was on a couple of weeks ago said, "Wow, are we really missing Jimmy Garcia?"
Jimmy, yeah,
it's
really
But imagine him back there right now. It would be a difference in the world.
To that point, though, I mean, I think that what you're going to get is, I mean, Hoffman has very rarely had back-to-back bad outings. He went on a little bit of a turn there where he had 3 or 4 where it just wasn't good, but he was being picked up. The Jays were picking up the spare on him, and he wasn't always giving up the win. He was giving up the lead. He maybe wasn't giving up the win. Now, that being said, you do still have to have somebody that you can rely on. And I mean, it's too bad, sometimes. And I agree with Michael that, when you've got a guy like Varland, and if other stuff isn't working, then just throw it as hard as you can. Just give me 3 batters of, and you can even tell the guy it's coming. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead and swing at it. I'm going to try and blow it right through your bat. And I mean, it's happy. I mean, it happens. I mean, it's and guys, we saw it this year with the team I coach, like kids that can't control their curveball panic and go to fastball. And if they have a good enough fastball, then they're fine. They'll get through. But it's when you stop trusting your other stuff, like even Shane Bieber the other day, his first couple of changeups were mediocre. In fact, he was leaving them out a little bit. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. You can't leave those there, buddy. And then it started to bite. And he just trusted it and trusted the fact that he has a really good, off-speed pitch and stuck with it. And it was devastating by the 3rd inning. It was untouchable. So I feel like Hoffman comes in with very little rope, and you have to perform. It's like no other thing in any other sport. It's like playing a whole hockey game, and then one guy comes out onto the ice that hasn't played the whole game, and he has to stop the whole team. It's a crazy nuts position to put somebody in. And like when you talk about the guys who've been really, 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 really good at it, then I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, it's crazy to think that the fan base turned on this dude so quick. I mean, it's a semi-important game. Oh, Buxton just hit another bomb. Jeez Louise. But
he's enjoying Eric Lauer right now.
Yeah, he is. Lauer looked good though. I watched the first little bit. Everything was moving pretty well for him. I mean, it's some guys just hit some guys. I mean,
he's still been
ask Bob File, ask some of those guys we have on. Some guys just hit
Ricky, all those guys. So, and Bob will be on again shortly. I'm just waiting to figure out dates with him on the whole which day he wants to come. So, on that note, it's one of those things that is just insane to that point that. I agree with everybody, and I totally am frustrated with Hoffman just as much with anybody right now. But who else are we going to throw there? As much as I think that Varland is going to be the closer of the Blue Jays' near future, he's not that right now. I think he's got the stuff and the talent to do it, and I think he's just having a really hard time getting used to being in Toronto after thinking, I'm a Minnesota kid, I'm going to stay a Twin forever. They think I'm untouchable here, and then, oh, by the way, off to Toronto you go. So I think there was a little bit of a culture shock going on in his mind, and he needs to get out there and just do the Bull Durham thing. Don't think meat, just throw.
I mean,
but
it's
to
pretty true.
your cousin Troy here, the other one option wise is Sir Anthony Dominguez. He's also had some ups and downs and some shakes, but he has looked a lot better in the last few days that he's been out. So I wonder if he's a potential two-headed horse here at the end of the day. It's perfect solved is Jimmy Garcia getting healthy finally and coming back. He is not officially done for the season. He's supposedly rehabbing in Dunedin. I'll give you the 50-50 if that's a reality or not, because last I knew it was only like an oblique thing or something that was holding him up. Now it wasn't the shoulder or anything like that, but there's been zero news on anything other than he's quote unquote doing baseball activities. So
I mean, it's you know,
I guess
it's very important. And I mean, we've seen this now for the last couple of years. The teams that win the World Series, they do certainly have a closer, but they have to have a battery finishing the game. I mean, just look at any of the teams. They have a guy they go to in the 7th, two guys they go to in the 8th, and a guy they go to in the 9th or 2.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're a good team, you know, like the Jays should have won that game, even though Hoffman was giving it up. I mean, you have to get to a point where whoever's catching comes out and says, "Look, man, just start laying this. Just start throwing off speed. Put it down the middle. They will not hit it out on you. They'll hit ground balls, and that's what we need." And pitchers' egos sometimes get in the way, and they want to strike guys out, and they want to make sure that you know the ball is getting over the dish and not sort of team pitching to try and induce ground balls or anything like that. So, and that's what I saw from him as he got more frustrated and more angry, he threw the ball harder and more down the middle. And I mean, you can't beat these guys, you know, if you're not gonna change things up, then you're not gonna beat these guys. But yeah, I mean, it's too bad for him last night. I mean, it'll be interesting. What is 2-1? I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have a situation tonight where something is gonna be tense at the end of the game. You know,
we're only getting beaten by Byron Buxton right now.
Yeah, I know.
Just saying. So who knows what's gonna happen on that avenue? But at the end of the day, this is still a game, and Lauer's been too good to watch anything go too wild, I would think. Especially when he knows he's pitching for a staff spot, regardless of all the shit that's been going on with him. He is still the best pitcher we've had this season. When you boil it down to the one number, the Moneyball number of WAR, he is leading the team, and it's considerable. It's not like it's, you know, inches, meters. He's blowing these guys away on that whole avenue. And if you're talking about what this bullpen looks like for a 5-game series, Jason, this is a very different bullpen for what is going to happen if you're playing for a 3-game win to move on to the next series, or even a 7-gamer. You're going to have probably right now Scherzer, Gausman, and Bieber, if he continues doing what he's been doing as your main guys in those, some kind of a semblance of a rotation. You're going to have the other 3 guys, Barrios, Lauer, and Bassett, just ready to go.
Yeah. And I think Lauer creates the most interesting one out of that group. Like, I mean, he can come in, he can give you a variety of pitches. I mean, you know, sure, Bassett has 45 pitches. Great. Awesome. You know, but Bassett doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's really like bringing the energy out for the 5th inning to get you rolling through and get everybody all fired up. Where, you know, like, I feel like you've got some tools that and Barrios is the same. I mean, if you bring him in or the 4th or the 5th, he'll give you gas. He'll throw hard, and it might prove to be one of those things that in a 3-gamer, that's what you need is you need to take chunks from the extra 3 starters and have them realize that if we need you to come in, it is. Clayton Kershaw has done it for years. Clayton Kershaw has come in the middle of games for the Dodgers and helped them win games. He's just thrown 72-mile-an-hour curveballs mixed with 91-mile-an-hour fastballs, and for some reason, no one can touch him. This is Kenley Jansen's the same. Kenley Jansen, you know,
monster cutter, slider.
Yeah, he's been moved all over the rotation though too. Like he's started, he's middled, he's closed, he's done all of those things, and he just does it. He just goes out and he's still doing it. And he's still one of the best in the business at 112 years old.
There is that. So, but on the piece to that whole thing, we just saw another home run, unfortunately. So Lauer's leaving something up, it sounds like, tonight. Youngster Luke Cashal just hit a home run off of him. In the midst of that, like I said, he's a lefty is the other beautiful part. So him playing out of the bullpen, there is another nice piece to that to quote unquote change it up. But if we do another Jose Barrios situation and put just Eric Lauer in for the fuck of it after watching the righty dominate, I'm going to lose my shirt and eat it. And then I'm going to go throw something at this team.
I think people will be losing their jobs too. So, I mean, I feel like based on what we've seen this year, and I mean, no one had any confidence in management that this was going to be where we were at. I feel like they kind of had an idea that if a lot of ththings went their way, that it would happen. And, I also feel right now that John Gibbons, geez Louise, Schneider has been given the opportunity to manage the team the way he wants to manage the team, where I think there was interference before. And I think that's what we're seeing now I think we're seeing, a team managed by him that is doing the things. Oh, did somebody just rob a homer? Watch behind over my shoulder. Woo! Wow. Or was it a home run? I gotta go to. I can't keep looking over my shoulders. It's terrible. Oh, yeah, he did catch it. Nice. So I mean, even if you watch the last couple of Jays games, they've been giving up some longer fly balls. Battling. I feel like the umpiring, like just watching the umpiring of the start of this game, it was awful. He misses when that they had a stolen second base and he misses the strike. I mean, it's a strike by 3 inches every direction. And then, he rings the next guy up on one that's outside of the zone. And you're like, come on, like just be better. I love that the fellas are giving me I could just turn my head like
the play-by-play.
Yeah. It's like they're in my living room.
A little shot, then a monster catch by Dalton Varsho. And how nice is it to have him back, though? Holy shit.
Holy man. He is so good. He is so good. Please don't rewind back a couple of years ago when we made the trade and I just absolutely dragged this
Varsho. Who?
Oh, Lord.
Episode.
Wow. We were brutal on this guy.
Brutal.
And I mean, he
mostly on the front office.
He may look like a thumb, but he is a hell of a baseball player. And I hope his nickname is Thumb because he does look like a thumb.
So did you see last week when they were doing their fantasy football lineup, how they picked the draft order?
Yeah, the parachute dudes.
Varsho on the radio going, okay, drop the next one.
Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome.
Parachute men. So, but anyway, Jason, I do want to make sure we just talked Varsho briefly, but I think we'd be doing ourselves a miss if we did not talk George Springer over the last week. He has been unconscious. Maybe that knock to the head actually knocked like every baseball muscle in his body into like high gear or something like that. I have no idea.
Did you know since that game, if you include that game, because he had a hit in that game before he got hit in the head, he is hitting 408.
My God.
Like
over the last week, he's batting 435 with 3 home runs.
It's crazy. It just seems like every time he comes up, he's an absolute threat. And, we talked about this a little bit at the start of the year. He's definitely changed his swing. His swing is, it's so good. Yeah, the thumb.
That's
look,
good.
He looks just
the
like
thumb.
this. If I put a little face on this and a hat, it's him. Anyways, so but I mean it's 408 in the last 21 games, but it's bonkers. And I mean, kudos to him. And we did notice that he had changed his swing a little bit, and obviously with that, he's and the Jays on whole are seeing a lot more pitches. They're reminiscent of the Red Sox of 2004 that just stopped swinging at crap. And as soon as they did, they were like, "Oh, we can walk and then drive guys in. Oh, that's a pretty fun way to play baseball. Oh, we won again. Oh, World Series. So I feel like a lot of the guys have made really big strides to improve their swing, to improve their pitch vision. Just a lot of things. We were my boys and I were watching Kirk, and the amount of time his bat spends in the hitting zone it's crazy. Like, I mean, it's reminiscent.
That's why he's so good shooting it the other way too.
It's Barry Bonds. It's Cecil Fielder. It's the guys who just
Wade
strike
Boggs.
the ball. Yeah,
Paulie Molitor.
Yeah. John Olerud. Like, I mean, guys who flat batted and they crush the ball. And let's not leave Kirk out. He has been on fire. And then
the only reason we're not talking about him like flat out is the fact that Bo Bichette is batting .500 over the last week. George Springer is batting .435 over the last week. Meanwhile, Alejandro Kirk is batting a mortalish level of .417 over the last week.
Yeah, and I think I picked Ernie Clement this week, and he got a broken hand. Damn it.
But yeah, tis what it is. But he had a couple of good games before that. So
yeah, he did.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we get to Picks the Click here in just a moment, Jason, because we're at that point of the show because of the half-hour wonderful interview we had with our buddy Pat Malacaro. Is there any other Blue Jay stuff you would like to get off your chest, man?
Not really. I mean, overall, last night was frustrating, and I understand Jays fans are frustrated with it and all the rest of it. But guys, just I really feel like we need to trust the process with this year. I feel like there's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be, no one's going to win every game, obviously. And you always feel bad when you're up and you lose. But just think about how many times the Jays have been down and come back and lost this year. And comparatively, it's a much higher number. And I know that these ones stick out like a Sorvar show, but I mean, it's one of those things that you just have to roll past. So I don't know if you can see this. So I have this on my wrist, and it's a goldfish. And you know why I have it?
Yeah.
Ted Lasso.
Yep.
Ted Lasso. Be a goldfish, right? So Jays fans, just be a goldfish.
Be a goldfish.
10-second memory. It's already done. And then we're
that's
we're
the best one.
Yeah.
Last update, injury update. Troy Santander is quote unquote finally swinging a bat. So there is a chance.
He's there. I mean, he's on the bench. He keeps putting the jacket on people.
Yeah.
Maybe he could be a tailor.
Yeah, maybe. Never know. It's a very expensive tailor.
Yeah.
But never know. He could be a heck of an asset down the line here. But it sounds like they were targeting him to get back to baseball activities a couple of weeks ago. And they were hoping that September he was going to be able to come in and be when the roster's expanded, which is next week. So him being in Toronto today, I'm assuming it's because of some kind of a medical evaluation instead of doing it down in Dunedin. So you never know. That's probably a lot of what it is. To that point, who knows? Keyword, who knows?
Yeah.
So that's the unfortunate reality of what this front office has been for a million years, including on this guy that I just got gifted a wonderful Vernon Wells autographed baseball card for him. Remember how many times this guy played hurt and nobody knew what was going on? And it was probably because so tis what it is. But on that note, it is really fun. We get to have all these good conversations for the most part. And to the Jeff Hoffmans of the world, be a goldfish. We are still in first place. This is not off the wheels by any means.
No,
yes, it stung a little bit extra yesterday because the Red Sox and the Yankees both won.
Well, and I like how quickly the U.S. media turned on that. They were like, it was like immediate.
Red Sox are coming.
Bulldogs are crashing. And they're like, just shut up. And then the only other thing, as an aside, anybody, like I appreciate all the, again, we've got a whole bunch of people that are taking time out of not watching the Blue Jays game to listen to us
hanging out with us.
Garbage. Yeah. I've had the same fantasy football team name for like 10 years now, and it's the Jerry Rice Bowls. And it's one of, we all know I'm a 49ers guy. I am looking for a new fantasy football name. I am taking all things into consideration. Hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram. Give me your ideas for a fantasy football team name. I don't care if it's baseball, football, whatever. Just make it hilarious because I always do fairly well in this pool, and so it's always fun to have the guys in the group have to say the bad name. So hit me with them. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all kinds of places.
Right in the Jaybird watching stuff.
Yeah, right in the Jaybird watching stuff.
He has access.
If you want to be super creepy, you can record it on our new feature on our website.
JaybirdWatching.com.
Maybe sing it to us.
So on that note, I got to tell you mine, because out of the last 8 years And I'm funny enough, I'm literally doing my draft right now as we speak, by the way. So it actually worked out kind of nice having the Pat Malacaro thing. I forgot we had to do this tonight too. So I've won like 7 of the last 10 years. And I was like, okay, a few years ago, when I won the couple in a row, I was like, I got to think of something that's as mean to everybody else in the league. I've always loved Chris Farley, the Ditka, the stupid Saturday Night Live stuff, Coach Ditka, whatever it might be, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out something with Mike Ditka. So I went really, really childish with it. My Ditka is bigger.
Yeah.
And then the 1 year I just got completely smoked because I got like my first 2 running backs. I had McCaffrey and somebody else, got lit up, broken for the whole season, and I changed it to punched in the Ditka for one season.
Yeah, that's a good one. CMC roasted me last year. I love you, buddy, but gotta try and stay healthy, bud. I mean, that is one murderous position to play running back in the NFL. I've watched a whole bunch of stuff and read stats on what these guys' careers look like, and it is nightmare fuel. You know, like every part of their body is smashed up when they get out, including their brain. And it's a very unrewarding position if you try and no pun intended, leg it out. Like, I mean, you got to get 5 years tops and get the hell out while you still got all your marbles.
Wits with you. So on that note, Jason, we get to go to this illustrious thing that we are looking at here, and we have.
I didn't win.
I don't think you did, Mr. Ernie Clement. I do give you a commending effort. It's about as good as my wonderful fun that
you were
I
Barger,
had
weren't you?
Addison Barger. Apparently, we have a basis loaded opportunity here with the Blue Jays too. Bo Bichette in the plate.
I'll lean this way so we can
leaning in.
Yeah, so, I don't know if that's an infringement on Sportsnet.
No.
But.
So the other fun part about this whole thing is that we're actually facing former Toronto Blue Jays top prospect Simeon Woods Richardson.
Yeah,
tonight.
Trying to fit that on a jersey.
They don't. It's just like a big.
He's waist to waist.
It's like big. It's like McDonald's arch on his back with a number shoved in the middle. So, anyways, as it's 1-1 on Bo Bichette, we had Alejandro Kirk. You had Ernie. I had Barger, and the guest spot had Dalton Varsho. So, just to be unbiased about it, I'm going to go to the stat sheet, and we're going to look at this because the most hits in the league.
I think it's got to be Varsho out of that group.
So, the most hits in the team last week were Bichette, Springer, and Nathan Lukes. Just saying. Alejandro Kirk and Dalton Varsho both tied with 5 hits last week. Dalton Varsho had 2 home runs and 8 RBIs. So regardless of the fact that Kirky also had a home run in a 4 RBI week and 4 runs scored versus 3, I think I have to give the win to Dalton Varsho. And the reason I made sure I called the stats out here is so Liz does not call bullshit on us while she's drinking at the ball game for more
every single time. Every single time she's not around, she loses.
I wanted it on the record. It's not me. So Dalton Varsho gets the guest spot, their 4th win, tying me again. So as we're still waiting to see what happens here with Bo Bichette, nothing yet. Still a 2-2 count because that's what Bo does. So we might as well just, hunker in here for.
We could be here all night. He just fouled another one off. It must have been hammered because he watched it.
6th pitch. So on that note, Jason, I'm going to let you go first. Who do you got?
Oh man. You know what? I feel like I have to stick with the hot hand, and I'm gonna go with George Springer.
Springer,
old men unite.
Yeah, there it is. Seeing, I want to give Liz a fair advantage because she was half on the show tonight because she made our wonderful weird 2:00 meeting. I'm gonna carry over her pick from Kirk last week.
Oh, okay.
I think that's fair.
Oh, that's rope.
Yeah, we got some movement. Things are moving. Looks like we might have ourselves a tie ball game.
Lovely. Happening right in front of you. I could do the play-by-play if you want.
Tie ball game.
Bichette rips one into the gap.
Wait, hold on. You got to do that. Click.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So a 7-pitch at bat for Bo Bichette turns into a 2-run single. Very, very, very cool stuff. And we still got runner on first and second with the thumb coming up.
You know what? I will say this as well. And I did take George Springer, and I was looking at some of his advanced metrics. Did you know that he's the fastest guy for his age? And it's not even close. Like guys who hit 35, he's the fastest guy at speed. Yeah, speed. Ricky's up there with him because I think Ricky played when he was 35. But Springer's
so a career,
the fastest.
Not so much just current baseball.
It's not just a one-off. He's a career fastest.
That's interesting. I'm not shocked because for a 35-year-old gentleman, he is a specimen. He has found a way to maintain and keep things moving. As we got a 0-2 somehow on foul ball. Okay, still 0-2 on Dalton Varsho. I got to figure out somebody here, and I think I'm gonna start my pick right now. I'm gonna take Dalton Varsho. So we got to pick one for the guest spot.
Why don't we go Nathan
Should we
Lukes?
get Barger? Nathan Lukes?
No,
somebody as a
Nathan
Buffalo
Lukes.
boy? Nathan
He's
Lukes
been on
for
fire.
our buddy Pat.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I meant to ask him before he signed off was, hey, pick me a guy that you need for this week.
Yeah.
So got a ball in play. Where are we going? Kirky.
All righty.
No, I'm not that far yet. I think our friends in the feed are quicker than us.
Uh-oh. How's that? Oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, we're just listing names off, fellas, now. I think we're out of the inning. Tie ball game 3-3.
What are we doing?
Yeah. I think they just want us to pick people.
Oh, I think with that. Oh, that makes sense. No, that was
you
just
guys
Michael
are all
Borland's
over this.
pick. Love it. Love it.
Oh, good times, guys. So, anyways, on that avenue, Jason, any parting words?
No. Like I said before, we're seeing it tonight. Don't count this team out. This is just about to get fun. I reached out to a bunch of people on Twitter today, hoping to snag a few guys. I know that when the Canadian season ends, we should be able to get a couple of those guys on too. People, if you are out there, retweet our stuff so these people see it and they're more apt to answer us. I know Michael Borland and Troy, you guys have the huge, massive Twitter following. You reach out to your minions and get us. One of the ones, James Paxton, is going to be in Vancouver in next week, and so we're going to effort to get the Big Maple on. We
also have Bob File either joining us next week or the following week again because he's our buddy. We gotta love him. And we
Ricky
also
Romero,
still
maybe?
have. Yeah, we still have our new friend that I've met on Twitter TikTok. One of the best baseball follows you can have on TikTok. Brooke knows baseball.
Yeah,
So,
she's great.
Brooke knows ball. She's insanely good. She's going to be on the show here at the end of the month. So make sure there's another gentleman that's going to join us that evening too, but I'm going to keep it a little bit of a surprise for a little bit longer. Ooh. Make sure you check out Brooke Knows Ball because she really does know her stuff. Great baseball content all day, every day. Check it out. She will be here on the 24th. So anyways, Blue Jays fans, thank you very much. I'm going to go watch the game and eat my dinner and finish my fantasy football draft. You all have a great week. We will talk to you soon. And make sure you hit everything up on those wonderful places that we find us on the social media. And we will see you here live next Wednesday. Go Blue Jays. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Jaybird Watching Podcast. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at BirdwatchingGC and our YouTube channel. If you want to support the show and get extra content, please consider joining to our Patreon at patreon.com/birdwatchinggc. Go Jays, go.
Woo!